When you think about excellence, you have to be an incredible student of the game before you can become the top of your game, right? So that means you're going to go out there and figure out what you need to do to make yourself the best. And so in our industry, I'm thinking about things like know the products, understand your clients and their situations, and know what's the best thing for them, the best fit for them. So you have to be an excellent student of what we do in the industry to make sure that you put the right product with the right client, if that makes sense.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Medicare Sales Playbook. I am your host, Dallas Keithley. I have the pleasure of walking you through the Medicare world. Our goal here is to help you expand your Medicare business one play at a time, and we are excited about what this show has become. We've got some great listeners, some great comments, some great feedback, and we are very appreciative of that. Please do me a favor, like, subscribe, share, all the stuff that all the cool kids are doing when it comes to podcast, and we would be forever grateful. We also want to know, who do you want to see sitting in the chair beside me over here? Who do you want to learn from? What do you want to learn? Where are you struggling in your Medicare business? We want to help you. We want to help you get to the next level. I am stoked, jacked. Adam and I were talking before the show. I said, hey, man, I say excited every time. And if everything's exciting, nothing's exciting. So we've been going through the thesaurus, and I am all of the words that denote excitement today about our guest. I've known this gentleman for a long time. We have been friends for a long time. I count him as someone that I turn to when I need some good advice. He is a thoughtful gentleman, a humble gentleman, has done some great things with his life, as you are going to see. So please help me welcome Colonel Retired Mike Katka of the U.S. Air Force. Welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks, Dallas. Appreciate the opportunity to come and speak.
Absolutely, man. When we started this show, I'm like, we got to get Catman in here.
No, I appreciate it.
That is awesome. So as I said, you've done some great things. We were visiting before the show and talking to me about your last flight and all the things that you went through with that. 24 years in the United States Air Force flying C-130s, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, started off flying trainer jets for the Air Force, taught people how to fly. If you think about Top Gun school, something like that, except not quite as excited. We did aerobatics. So I did that for about 5 years, and then I went off to fly the C-130. Got about 3,000 hours of time in the aircraft, maybe 1,000 combat hours through the 24 years that I was in the military.
Yeah, Middle East, all that stuff, flying a little bit everywhere.
A little bit everywhere. A lot of hot places and a lot of cold places, but a lot of good food.
A lot of hot places. That's one thing about the Air Force, right? They plan the meals, the golf course, the food, and then the rest, right?
The mission comes next. No, really, no. Come on, mission's first. It's always first, right?
And I love talking with you on this podcast. I'm saying things and then I'm watching your face to see if it's classified or not. So if I get that look, like
we talked earlier. I said I can't say that.
Can't say that. Yeah, that was he could tell me, but he'd have to kill me. Yeah. And he was there was a little bit of excitement when he said, "I'll have to kill you" part, but that's okay.
I like that. It's not bad.
No, we're good. So talking about all the different things you did, one of the things, and I told you I was going to bring this up.
Right.
Like you told me you flew the Joint Chief of Staff. You've flown some important people. But the one that impressed me was Hootie and the Blowfish. Got to fly them all over the desert in the USO tour.
Yeah, one of the great things of the military is all the people that support us. And the USO is a great organization. And a lot of these entertainers will come to the theater. And in the late 90s, Hootie and the Blowfish came out to the desert, and wow. I happened to stay on an extra month, and because I was there an extra month deployment, I got to fly Hootie and the Blowfish around the theater for all the little tours, all the little stops. Met Darius Rucker. He got to sit right up front in the cockpit with us as we flew the mission, so I got to have Hootie right up front. So it was great. He may not remember me, but I'm sure he remembers those smooth landings. They were good.
Well, okay, so I was going to ask, did you maybe just a little bit of turbulence just so he would remember you?
He's got to remember me somehow, So
I love that.
I hate that you're jealous, but I do have a couple signed CDs. Maybe we can talk about giving you one of those.
Okay. Yeah. I am into that. Big Hootie and the Blowfish fan.
Awesome.
Kid of the 90s.
Yeah, so you told me you wanted to sneak out of the house one time to go to a concert.
Yeah, my dad still doesn't know that. No. The buddies of mine went, and they came back just saying, that was life-changing.
Hey, just because you wanted to and you didn't, that just shows a sign of respect for Dad.
Sure. We'll go with that.
Or fear.
Yeah, let's go with that. So, no, but you've done a lot of cool things. So let's back up here. Graduated from the Ohio State University, right? Went through the ROTC program there, right? Then off to the Air Force, and then got retired, and then got into teaching. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, yeah, in 2012, I retired from the Air Force after 24 years. We decided we were going to settle down. Kids were going in high school and college at about the same time frame. So retired in 2012. I did a 2-year stint as a GS-14 for the Air Force. Absolutely, I can't say I hated the job, but I wasn't happy going to work every day. And I always say, if you love what you do, you'll never work another day in your life. And I was working, just put it that way. At the same time, I went ahead because Brian and I, Askins, we've known each other for about as long as you have. Met 23 years ago, 24 years now, this month actually, and got my license in insurance and started dabbling with that. But the 2 years at the GS employment, I just didn't like it. So I've always had this passion to mentor young people, and I was a youth director at church, and I thought I wanted to teach. So I applied for a teaching position at Gateway STEM High School in St. Louis, teaching junior ROTC of all things. And I knew all about the Air Force, so why not teach kids and mentor them? It's mainly a leadership program. And I, in my career, was able to lead a lot of organizations, a lot of people. And so I figured I could take that talent and just kind of put some things in some kids to maybe help them be a little more successful in their lives, maybe see a difference of opportunity for them, and give them that vision that they can go out and do something besides just be in the streets all the time, because it's dangerous. And so that 8 years was very, very rewarding to me. I taught there. Saw a lot of kids. Some are now in the military. Many are now in the military. Many are doing great things for our country, serving on the St. Louis Police Force, the state troopers. I've got people in Missouri State Police now. So those type of things that you put in those kids, I grabbed those opportunities that I had in the military and kind of translated those to the teaching environment.
Yeah. I know one of the things you pride yourself on is being positive.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Waking up every day knowing that this is a day that you can do something with. How hard was that when you're going to work doing something that isn't necessarily, like, it's valuable, it's important, but it's tough, right?
It is. It becomes a grind. It's a tough thing, but obviously we're going to do things we don't like. But you always, the way I look at it is that positivity mindset, and I'll talk a little bit about it later. When you have that positive mindset, you make a big difference in what you're doing, how you do it, your work ethic, how you treat other people, how they treat you, just based on those type of things. So taking that, always going to work with a good attitude. We all have attitudes. We get to choose whether it's good, bad, positive, negative. So I like to think of it that way in my life.
I love that. Yeah. So let's talk about now. Got in the insurance world. You got your license in 2011, correct?
Yes, sir. Toward end of 11, early 12.
Yeah. Talk about why you did that. I know you said Brian Askins, of course, Brian Askins, CEO of Impact Legacy Group. Talk about why you did that and what that decision entailed.
Yeah. So, Brian at the time was with another carrier, and he was bringing me on board to lead one of his organizations based on my experience in the military and our friendship. He wanted me to come on and lead one of the larger areas that he had under his organization. And so the transition was going to be pretty easy. I was going to take get the licensing and eventually go to work under his company. And so that was a thing that we'd been talking about for years and years and years. Like I said, we met in 2000, 24 years ago this month. And so we always wanted to work together. I knew there was a great opportunity in the insurance business. Brian's always stated, and I've heard that there's more millionaires in this industry than any other industry on the planet. So it wasn't about the money, but it was about the connections, the service, what you can do for other people. He had told many stories, and I'd been to many events where he was speaking, talking about when he delivered that check to that person. In fact, you've even told me stories like that. When you delivered that check to that grieving person, what it meant to them and how it changed them. I'd never had that opportunity. Even to this day, I haven't, thank God. But I saw that as a way of service to people because, quite frankly, I'm a believer in life insurance and helping other people, and it's a great way to do that.
Absolutely. So started out, that was the plan. Some wrenches got thrown in. Brian opened Secure Insurance Group back in 2014.
10 years ago this month.
That's right, yeah. And then you came on with that. But what I want to get into today is how the military, your background in the military, has helped you. I'm assuming it's helped you transition into the business world. And what are some things, beside the haircut, which looks amazing, by the way, what are some things that transitioned with you and helped you that you took with you from the military?
Wow, great transition, great point. One of the things the Air Force does, and a lot of organizations do this, is they have core values, right? We have core values around here at Impact, and our core values in the military were a great fit to what I'm doing now. And those were integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. And so when you think about that, in fact, I tried to name my agency Integrity First Insurance or something like that, but everybody's using it.
Well, and
so
integrity may be taken.
Yeah, exactly. So that didn't work. But when you think about integrity first, if you put that first in your life, in your career, in your business, whatever you're doing, in your relationships, it is going to make a tremendous difference in how you perform. So you always got to have that first. So the Air Force hit it right when they said integrity first was our first core value, because you always have to be honest, truthful, do the right thing, right? So that's the number one thing that I brought. I feel like in my life, I've tried my best, and obviously we all have mistakes, but tried my best to live a life of integrity and always be honest. The service before self really fits into the industry that we're in, right? So that second core value in the Air Force, it really applies in the military because they're going to ask you to do stuff that maybe you don't want to do. Or as a commanding officer, I would have people go places in some really dangerous situations. And so in that aspect, service before self means a lot, but it also means a lot in our industry in the fact that if you think about commissions and you're thinking about how am I going to get paid on this, and you're actually putting yourself in front of the service of the client, that's not a good thing. And we don't need that in our industry. So always thinking about service before self. What can I do that's going to help them regardless of how it influences me or impacts me? I want to do the right thing every single time. So that service before self mentality from the Air Force into the industry that we're in now, this insurance industry, is a great fit. And, so service before self, integrity first, service before self, and then excellence in all we do. That leads to, when you think about excellence, you have to be an incredible student of the game before you can become the top of your game, right? So that means you're going to go out there and figure out what you need to do to make yourself the best. And so in our industry, I'm thinking about things like know the products, understand your clients and their situations, and know what's the best thing for them, the best fit for them. So you have to be an excellent student of what we do in the industry to make sure that you put the right product with the right client, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I want to dig into the last one just a little bit. What does the word excellence mean to you?
Wow. Excellence to me, simply put, just means that everything you do is the very best thing that you can put forward. And whatever you need to do to get to that point, to give the best effort. I mean, you think about football, you think about baseball. Those guys just don't walk onto the Major League Football field, baseball field or NFL. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of commitment. So if you think about excellence, there's a lot of commitment that goes into that. Yeah. You have to commit yourself to excellence. So, flying airplanes, the same thing. There were mediocre pilots and there were really, really good pilots that are flying Thunderbirds and the Blue Angels, right? So a lot of that has to do with how much are you willing to risk, or how much effort are you willing to put into something to be the best. And I think in our industry, we've got Cody runs 8% nation, right? He's talking about 8%. It's because 92% of the people fail.
Yeah.
And I feel like a majority of those 92% of people that fail do not put in the effort, in other words, to achieve the excellence that they need to be successful.
Yeah, and I like how you said, and I want to be careful here, but excellence could be different for different people, right?
Right.
It's your best.
Right.
And I think a lot of times in our industry, I think there's two types of people that fail. One is they don't put in the effort. Another one, the level of excellence that they're trying to pursue is not something they're capable of. So they're trying to pursue somebody else's excellence.
Right.
And they're trying to live up to that standard. It's your excellence, what you're created to do. I believe all of us are created with a purpose.
Right.
I believe all of us are capable of amazing things. I think a lot of times we miss it because we're trying to pursue somebody else's excellence. that make sense?
Yeah, it is. I like what you said about being purpose driven, because that's very important. And you're right. A lot of people do set the bar too high, and you're going to fail if you do that. So now I don't mean setting it so low that you can always achieve it, because that's not good. But there's a fine line there. Some people are very gifted in certain situations, like even in flying airplanes or teaching high school, the things that I've done. There are people that are really great teachers and they have all the accolades for it, but there are really good teachers that are doing an excellent service to those students that they're teaching. So, yeah, you can't set the bar so low that it's easy, but you got to get it up there. And it needs to be attainable for you as well.
Exactly. I love that. So let's transition a little bit. You carry around a coin here with you at all times. You got it laying here.
Oh yeah,
on the
yeah,
desk
I do.
Talk to me about why. What does that mean to you? How does that guide you?
Okay, so this is a challenge coin. A lot of people know exactly what it is. My squadron, I was a squadron commander at McGuire Air Force Base in New Jersey. And so each squadron commander can design a coin, and I designed a coin front and back. That had our squadron. We created the logo. It's got a centaur on there with a shield and a weapon. I even put a cross on there for my faith. Nobody really realized what I did, but on the shield there's a cross. So on the back of the coin, though, is what was really important to me was the fact that it says always on our A game. And I wanted to instill something in my teammates. I called them teammates for a reason, but they were really the people that were under me that I was in charge of. And so I put on the back of that, always on our A game. And what the A was in italics, I guess you would say. I put it there, and I had a purpose for that. You talk about, oh, you better bring your A game today. We talk about when we're playing sandlot football or whatever. Yeah, we're gonna win today. We're gonna kill you guys. Well, you better bring your A game.
Yeah.
So my thought was, I'm going to put, you better bring your A game. And in fact, the group commander who was above me, the colonel, put on the wall coming in, if you didn't bring your A game to work today, go home. And he meant it. And so he loved that slogan. And the A stood for something, which is why I stood out. It stood for, on the coin, it says, always on our A game, availability, adaptability, and attitude. I thought if they could bring those three things to work every day, availability, adaptability, and attitude, we're going to be successful in everything that we do. And if you'll give me a moment, I could break that down a little bit.
Down, man.
So
I love that.
Availability in the military, anywhere you work, there's going to be things that nobody wants to do, right? Mm-hmm. And I told my guys and gals they needed to be available, because I was going to ask them late night things to, go out and fly this mission in the middle of the night, take this dangerous mission, be away from their family. But I needed them available when we needed them, because we are in the military. And so there are times when people don't succeed because they don't make themselves available to succeed, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. They've got to be available. And it may be the things that nobody wants to do. Nobody else is going to do it. It may be just picking up around the office because it's a mess. We got clients coming in. We need to chip in. So I would never ask those young people, young men and women, to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. Okay, so that was what I determined was availability. It's very, very important that they were available. And then the second part was adaptability. The old mantra for the Air Force was flexibility is the key to air power. Flexibility is the key to air power. So in that, I said, well, flexibility is a great word. I'm going to use adaptability because I want people to adapt to situations that they're involved in. Mm-hmm. And we're not all the best at everything, but we can adapt and try to get things figured out. A great example is that we deployed in 2005 to none other than New Orleans for Hurricane Katrina. We were the first guys on the ground, first team on the ground in New Orleans at the International Airport, Louis Armstrong International Airport. We're setting up an airport, but we've got a group of people that can drive forklifts and offload airplanes. But what happens if a missile comes in or somebody comes in and takes out all the people that can drive the forklifts and offload airplanes, but we still have to offload airplanes? Mm-hmm. And so I said, we're going to be adaptable, and we're going to teach people that are pilots, navigators, comm officers. We're going to teach them how to drive a forklift and offload an airplane, because if we get sick, something happens, we're going to need people. And so that's what I meant by adaptability.
So it's making the mission is bigger than the person.
Correct.
Like, I'm a pilot. I don't do that.
Right.
That doesn't fly. Right.
Right. Yeah. You can't say it's not my job. And that's one thing I didn't want to hear, that it's not my job. No, it's everybody's job, because the mission is first, right? And we're going to figure out how to get this done. So I love the term adaptability, because we can do other things if we just think outside the box just a little bit and train ourselves. And as a leader, you want to make sure your people are adaptable for those situations. Yeah. So availability, adaptability, and probably the biggest one is attitude.
I don't know if we even want to talk about that one, because that one hits me right in the chest every time.
I'll tell you, attitude is just incredible when it comes to attitude. And we talked about it earlier. We all have one. It's just how we're going to use the attitude. Your attitude is going to affect your work ethic. Mm-hmm. If you think about it, you come to work, it just don't have a good attitude, you're not going to get anything done. So attitude affects work ethic. Attitude affects how we treat other people. Yeah, and contagious. It is. And I was going to use that word. It's contagious. It's infectious. Yeah. Positive attitude is infectious. People want to be around positive people, and so iron sharpeneth iron. If you're a positive person, you're probably going to put some positivity on somebody else. So that's very, very important. So that having that positivity is really important. The great attitude. I always said this, and I don't know how much time we got left, but I always said your attitude will determine your altitude. Your attitude will determine your altitude.
Hope you guys are taking notes, man. That's strong.
Yeah. So you want to go high in life, you want to make it to the top, your attitude has a big player in that game.
Absolutely. Let's take it home to Medicare. So you write a lot of Medicare, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You've been doing, we just finished up AEP, right?
Yep.
How was AEP?
Oh, it was my most successful one I've ever had. It was a great AEP.
Give me some numbers. I like it. So, because here's why. Yeah. In this industry, I've been doing this a long time. A lot of people will be like, oh man, I'm killing it, yada, yada, yada. And then you ask them numbers, they're like, well, my mom, I had my dad, and then my uncle almost signed, So talk to me about numbers.
It was my biggest payday ever was in January, just put it that way.
Okay.
Far as number of policies written during AEP, probably 500 different types of policies.
On your own pen?
Yeah. 500. I would say that's all different types, but Medicare was a large portion of that. But there were other ancillary products that we sell that we're also involved in that. So it was over 500.
Yeah,
definitely.
Mike hangs his picture on the fridge at home during AEP, so his wife will remember what he looks like one of those workers, man.
Yeah, it's work ethic, right? Yeah. I was here early and I stayed late, right? I was turning the lights on and turning the lights off.
That always bothered me, because at our old office there was a parking spot, and the one I'm thinking about.
I know exactly.
And I used to be able to park there, and then Mike came in and that spot was always taken.
It's been gone for about 18 months.
It has. But I could get up earlier and do it. But the adaptability part of it, I'm not there
You're
yet.
not adapted.
I'm not adapted.
It's all about your attitude, brother.
I know it. It was bad too. It was real bad. Yeah. I'm just glad you never saw me out there by your car.
No.
No. So Medicare, you've been very successful in Medicare. You said this was the most successful one. Why?
I think one is probably the one thing that we all need to do is continue to prospect throughout the year. Get ready for AEP or any large sales event. Get ready, and you prepare yourself by prospecting your warm market, your cold market. You're not afraid to spend some money to make some money, right? So you've got to make that effort as well. So obviously, moving here was a great opportunity for me, and so when you're around people that are like-minded, like you said earlier, it's contagious. Mm-hmm. So I used to visit Brian and come here. We used to be here 6, 7, 8 times a year, right? It's 3 hours away. Every time I came into the office at Secure Insurance Group or now Impact, it's a different. I go home and I tell Kim, I said, if I worked there, I would be so much more productive, because I come out of there just energized, just stacked up. So for those of you that are starting an agency or you're building an agency, I think one of the things you need to do is just get that culture going in your agency, in your organization, that we are champions, and I don't want you to sing, but you want to have that, right? So you want people to come there, and when they leave, they feel like they can take on the world. Yeah. And that's what I felt like when I used to visit here, and now I'm part of the organization that put that in me. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. So, it's surrounding yourself with others that allows you to believe, hey, I can do what they're doing.
Right.
And I can, and then there's a competitiveness that comes through, all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. A lot of that stuff it drives me, right?
For sure.
And so competition's great. We have some things in the organization here that allow us to be competitive. Some of it's fun. It's just great, right?
Yeah.
You chide people. The competition is awesome. The award stuff that are the incentives and those things they should motivate people. If you're not motivated by those type of things, you're probably in the wrong business, right?
Yeah. So now, while you're sitting here talking about availability, adaptability, and attitude, I was thinking about Medicare, right? Availability, that's what I would call the service aspect of it. Mm-hmm. Like, right. I know I've given you all my problem clients, right? So, so your availability.
I had one yesterday, and I got out of that very successfully.
You did.
Wrote the app, baby.
Wrote the app, and you were available.
I was available.
It's talk about, because a lot of people think about getting into Medicare. I sold life insurance first, and I didn't get into Medicare because I would sit in my office and I would hear other agents. And as a life insurance agent, I write them, I send them a birthday card, and then I talk to their family when they pass. That's it.
That's
right?
it, right.
With Medicare, I'm listening to other agents, and they're talking about, sir, I don't know why your prescription was $2.94 instead of $2.63. Like, the service, the availability part of it is extremely important.
If you had a successful AEP, as I did, even if you had a minor successful AEP, January is a different type of month for you, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's calling. Everybody's wondering, well, why didn't I get this? You're right. Why is my prescriptions, why are they more expensive? I didn't think, we talked about, and you don't want to say, well, I told you what they were. You didn't remember.
There's a nice way to say it.
You got to say it the nice way, right? So you're kind of working that out, but it's a service-minded industry, and you have to think service from the sale all the way through the end of the game. It's one of those things. You're right. Service in this industry, in the Medicare industry in particular, is vitally important because you want to retain the clients that you have. Because if you don't provide the service, guess what? Somebody out there is going to provide the service and get those clients to move to them because they provided something you didn't. So make sure that if you're doing this and you want to be successful, service and client relationship management or client relationship building is part of your plan.
100%. Then you move into the next day, adaptability. This business has probably changed more in the last, everybody always references COVID, but COVID really changed the way we had to do business. And now, I believe we're getting ready to see some big things coming in. You got AI coming in. You've got all these different, you have to be able to adapt to different circumstances and be willing to go. And to me, it's about being a student of the business and watching what others are doing. How are you adapting to make sure you're on top of all that?
Well, one of the things I mentioned earlier was knowing your product offerings, those type of things, because they change a lot too, right? So you got to know what you have available in your area of sale. So that's probably key. But as far as adaptability, the products and systems that we're using now, prior, I call it BC, before COVID, right? So the products and services we're using now have changed a lot. So you need to be a student of the game as far as when it comes to your sales products and the tools you're using to sell, because others are gaining that ground that you're leaving behind, and they're becoming the experts in things that you need to do, whether it's using technology for sales, because now, quite frankly, we don't sit down face-to-face with as many clients as we used to. A lot of that's done, especially if you're licensed in multiple states. I've got almost half the country right now. So that's important. But then again, there's that social media aspect that a lot of people, in fact, even me, I need to adapt to that a little bit myself, because social media is so fundamental to success in what we're doing. And they're the young generation, and I'm not young by any means.
You're talking about me.
The younger generation, such as you, are actually doing that, and they're very successfully doing that. Yeah. And so I think that's key to being adaptable to the technology and the social media aspect.
Yeah, and then of course the last one is attitude. When you get that crazy client, when you get that passionate client, let's rephrase that.
Yes, please.
When you get that one that's upset because they didn't hear something you said or something like that, it's approaching it with the right attitude and retaining that client.
Exactly. You've got to, the client customer is always right. You've got to keep that mindset, that attitude, that even though if you feel like they're not, you've got to make them believe that 100% you're on their team and you want to have the right attitude when you're dealing with them. I had an example this week where the client was upset, but in the end, I came back to, and the sale still happened. they were still happy. And at the end of the game, they said, thank you for listening to me. And I think that's key, is being an active listener. We didn't talk about communication. Probably one of the best things I took out of the military was the ability to, not public speaking, because I'm not great at that, but the ability to
I'd argue with you there.
Be a listener, and not just a listener, but an active listener.
Yeah.
We took some classes on that too. So that's very important.
Yeah. Guys, if you ever get a chance to hear Mike speak, you got to get out there. You're going to be speaking at the main event with
I'm
Impact.
actually speaking at the main event on Tuesday afternoon, I believe.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Last year I had to follow one of the keynote speakers, and that was tough to do. So,
well, he came to me and said, "Man, why did you make me go in front of that guy? He was great." So, no, I appreciate you, man. How do they get a hold of you if they want to reach out to Mike?
Hey, if they want to reach out to me, mike.katka@secureig.com. Call the office, get a hold of you. You know, I'm available all the time. I've helped a lot of agents that's what we do here too, by the way. You know, I'm the guy that's talking about Medicare, life insurance. You know, if you have a question, hey, just reach out to us. We're always here to help, right here from the office, and be more than happy to sit down and chat.
Awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Colonel Retired Mike Katka of the United States Air Force. Appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, buddy.
That was great, man. Absolutely. If you guys, sorry. Yeah,
Boom.
I'm leaving you hanging.
Don't leave me hanging.
That's my bad.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you again for listening, watching. Please like, subscribe, comment. Thank you to Adam and the producer, making us look good and sound good. We've got several more great shows lined up for you. I'm elated. There's another thesaurus word about what we have coming up. So be sure and again, comment, tell us who you want to see, what you want to hear. Appreciate you guys. Have a great day.